It's a happy Wednesday here on Good Morning NFC East. Jeff Kerr here with my man, Tone DeShields. We got Kevin Boiler coming in later trying to tell us if the Giants are going to make the playoffs or not. But I thought this was very interesting yesterday, Tone. I'm sure it's been talked about across the JAKIB media platforms, but I was not on planet Earth yesterday, so I didn't get to hear.
Where were you, Jeff?
Well, when I'm off, I try to stay away from the life we call football. I was okay, I'm going to catch up on all my shows yesterday. So I did that. And it was around 10:30 last night. And this is way later in the day, but I happened to listen to John Clark's Takeoff podcast because Malcom Jenkins was on it. And I was like, oh, Malcolm, you want to come back? Because he said he could still play. And he's only been 6 months removed, Tone.
I mean, yeah, you said it yourself behind the scenes, right? He really didn't. He really didn't have a final camp. He really didn't have a bad final campaign. Malcom Jenkins really hasn't really ever had a bad season. He's had seasons better than others, right? He's had seasons where he's accumulated more accolades than others, but he's always been a steady presence, not just in the locker room, but always a steady presence on the field.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I always admired about him. So this is an interesting stat about Jenkins. Since 2014, he's always played in the highest percentage of his team snaps, which is insane. Like he went, I think he only missed like 67 snaps in his entire Eagles career.
Yeah, talk about getting your money's worth, right? So since he's talking about having something left in the tank, and we all know Harry Roseman loves to visit the good old senior citizens home, for his players. We all know Harry Roseman's intentions this season. He's going all out, and we also know Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is going to be out for an extended period of time with the lacerated kidney. So, can they rely on the young guy Reed Blankenship to continue to make plays? Should they kick the tires on a Malcom Jenkins? What do you think the Eagles should really focus on? Where do you think they should put most of their eggs in?
Well, I think the eggs in the basket obviously should be in Reed Blankenship right now. I think you roll with him and Kayvon Wallace right now. But I would give at least Malcom Jenkins a call and be like, hey, are you serious? Like, are you interested in coming back? Because, look, you're going to need a backup safety anyway. So you might as well bring him in. And it'll probably take him, maybe a week or two to get acclimated to everything, get your football legs back. He could play Sunday if he's signed right now. It's not like the guy is out of shape or anything like that. He's only 6 months removed from the game, has strong last season, not as strong as he did in his first season with the Saints in 2020, but Malcolm was still an impactful player. And obviously, I think bygones are bygones at this point. He still has a lot of ties to this Eagles team. Now, I'm curious how he would play in the Jonathan Gannon defense, but overall, give him a call. See, why not?
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how he would look in the Jonathan Gannon defense, mainly because Jonathan Gannon, he really doesn't drop his safeties too often. He prefers his guys back there playing that umbrella defense. And Jenkins isn't necessarily a coverage safety. He's more so in the box safety, a guy that's, a hybrid. He plays all over the field, really. He can pretty much do it, whatever you ask him to do for the most part. But, he definitely lived in the box for the Philadelphia Eagles. So, look, it's a fascinating story. We'll see what comes of it. I don't think it's much to do about anything, really. I think it's just, fun football talk. But again, you can't put anything past Howie at this point in the season. He lost Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, has no idea when he's going to be able to come back. All options are on the table, I would assume, but I definitely would expect them to ride with the young guy, Reed Blankenship, and see if he can continue to play high level football like he did against the Green Bay Packers. So it really will be interesting. Now, also you mentioned the remaining schedules for a few teams. The Eagles, the Cowboys, and and the Giants. Right. This is that stretch of the season where teams start to separate themselves. Right. There are about 6 games, I believe, left in the seasons thus far. About 5 or 6 games. And what do you think, or what's your evaluation of the remaining schedules for the NFC East?
Well, let's start with the Cowboys since, apparently the Eagles don't play anybody according to Cowboys fans. Well, let me show you your gauntlet of a schedule over the next 3 games. The Indianapolis Colts, the Houston Texans, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars are the toughest team left until their December 24th showdown against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Correct.
They have the benefit of playing the AFC South late this year. The Eagles play them early. The Cowboys will play them later. And I think that's why the Cowboys have high Super Bowl hopes right now, because in reality, they should be 11-3 going to that Eagles game. They should not lose to Indianapolis. And I always give the Cowboys credit on this. They usually beat the teams they should beat, and they beat them by a lot. They've done that over the years. And they give us a bunch of fool's gold. But they should beat the Colts. They should crush the Texans. I think they could start Cooper Rush against the Texans and beat them by 14 points. I mean, Dak can take the week off if he wants to take the week off. I think the Jaguars game will be tougher than most people think, but they still should be 11-3. Now you go to the Eagles. This is a tough game Sunday against the Titans. It's winnable, but it's tough. The Eagles are fortunate at home. And we'll get an Eagles-Titans preview tomorrow. I got a couple surprises in store for that one. So,
okay.
Yeah, so we got that game. Then you got the Giants. Giants are in free fall. They've lost 3 of 4. And that's smacked in the middle between when the Giants play the Commanders. And we'll be talking a lot of Giants and Commanders this week, too. Anthony Armstrong is going to be coming back on with us. So he'll preview that game. But then after that, you got the Bears, who I think the Eagles should beat. The Bears have the worst record in the NFC. And you got the Cowboys game, and the Eagles finish with the Saints and the Giants. If you want to play the game where you kind of predict wins, at worst, the Eagles go 4-2. So that's 14-3. That means the Giants will have to win. I mean, the Cowboys will have to win 14 games. So essentially, they're going to have to win out. They're going to catch the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm looking at the schedule myself too, right? And the Philadelphia Eagles, it's actually, once you get past the Titans, things start to become clearer, in my opinion, right? The Giants, I think that's going to be a real interesting matchup. But like you said, I think the Giants are actually starting to decline at this point. Then you got the Chicago Bears, who really can't find a way to win games. They put up all the numbers in the world, but they can't find a way to win games and close them out. I think those guys are still learning how to win. You got the Cowboys, the Christmas Eve game. That's arguably the biggest game left on the schedule for the Philadelphia Eagles. Once they get past that game, I would expect them. It's like winning this game in Tennessee is going to tell us a lot, and winning that game in Dallas is going to tell us a lot about this team. But what's really interesting about it is the Washington Commanders have essentially caught up with the Giants and damn near the Dallas Cowboys. If the Dallas Cowboys happen to drop 2, and the Commanders happen to win out the rest of their schedule, and it's not going to be easy for them at all. I'll be honest, the Washington Commanders have a tough remaining schedule. They got the Giants back to back, then they got San Francisco, Cleveland, Dallas, and then they got that's going to be really interesting to see. What's your thoughts on the Commanders' remaining schedule, because they're right there in the mix with the Cowboys and the Giants?
Well, between them and the Giants, right? The Giants have a brutal schedule coming up too. They play the Commanders twice. They got the Eagles sandwiched in the middle of that. Then you get to play the Vikings right after all that. So yeah. I'm curious to see which one blinks first. And I think I've said this before. If the Giants sweep the Commanders, or if the Commanders sweep the Giants, one of them's going to the playoffs. That's my honest opinion. Can all 4 NFC East teams go to the playoffs? I don't know, because they're all going to play each other. They're all going to cancel out. But I'm thinking about this for a second, Tone. The Seahawks are in free fall too. So outside of Seattle, do you think Atlanta's going? I mean, if the Giants and Washington can kind of hold serve, I think all 4 NFC East teams make it.
Oh, it's very possible. I think Atlanta, like you said, Seahawks, they're starting to plateau. But the Atlanta Falcons, their only way they get into the playoffs is if they win their division. And I just don't think Tom Brady's going to allow that to happen.
They needed to beat Washington Sunday, and for some reason they threw a ball at the 2-yard line, and I still don't get it for a team that runs like they do. I don't know.
Yeah. So look, the Philadelphia Eagles, they've positioned themselves in such a way that we didn't really see coming, right? They're 10-1, and they got the Tennessee Titans coming up. I know you wanted to preview that tomorrow, but health and this run defense is really going to be the key thing for them at this point in the season. They've struggled with both, right? Avonte Maddox, he's still on IR. Jordan Davis, he's just coming off. He's supposed to be available this week. That doesn't mean he's going to be active though. So how do you think the Eagles continue to keep pace while dealing with this injury bug that's starting to hit key guys, and also dealing with their remaining schedule, and also trying to compromise for their run defense as well?
Well, Jordan Davis coming back is going to be huge for them. I actually think Jordan Davis is going to play Sunday. I don't know how much he'll play.
Oh, you think really?
I think he'll be back. That's all I'll say about that. He's working like heck to get back. And he can get activated off this week. So we'll see. I'm curious to hear what McMullen thinks about that later on Birds 365. But I think he does come back Sunday. I don't know how much he'll be a contributing factor. I'll tell you, the guy they need to get back is Avonte Maddox. They need their slot cornerback back. He can play safety. He's very versatile. I think that'll really help the safety depth. I'll tell you what, Tone, I would watch out for Treylon Burks this week. I think he could have a big game against them. And the Titans get the run game going early. They can get play action going. They get some RPOs going. It looks like a really bad matchup for the Eagles, but the Titans have one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL, and it's set up for a day where A.J. Brown can really go off on them.
Yeah, man. What do you think that reunion is going to be like for him?
Fun for him. I'll be honest. There's no love lost between A.J. Brown and the Tennessee Titans franchise. A.J. will play a coy all week. He'll be cool about it, but I think he'll be talking on Tennessee side, but on AJ's side, I think it's going to be all business. I'll do my talking on the field, and you know what? I'm not a betting guy, but anytime touchdown, AJ Brown.
You see, the thing about AJ right now, he's going through this weird stretch in the season where he's having fumbling issues. So I think
I don't even blame him for Sunday, though. I mean, if you saw his eye, I don't know how that man played 4 quarters of football.
Yeah, I mean, if you're available, you're available. And sure, you're probably not 100%, but no one is. So I try not to give the guys too much of an out, especially if you suit it up and you're on the field and you're making plays. There just has to be a certain level of awareness with the ball security, and he hasn't really had that, in my opinion, these past couple weeks. He hasn't really popped that much these past few weeks at all. Now, he's been scoring touchdowns. He's been a steady presence, but he hasn't really had that game like he had against the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Detroit Lions that in week 1 and so on and so forth. Those were his 2 biggest games from a stat perspective. But again, AJ Brown's fumbling issues, I don't want that to be a constant presence, in his game, right? Why do you think this has been such a back-to-back thing for him?
I think people over-exaggerate this. I think this is the most I'll say it. His fumbling topic is kind of pointless because he had 1 fumble his first 51 games of his career. Now he has 2 in 3 games or 2 and 3 quarters, and all of a sudden it's a worry. I don't understand that. Okay, he fumbled twice in 3 quarters. Big deal. We all go through slumps. I mean, conventional wisdom tells me he's going to get back on track, and he knows he needs to get back on track. He knows he's still going to be aggressive with the football. He's just got to be. He said it's ball placement. It's just regular things. Like the first one was a heads-up play by Stephon Gilmore, I think it was, that knocked it out of his hands. And again, that's uncharacteristic of him. The second one was on him, and I think he was very embarrassed about that because he's had just one fumble in 51 games. But yeah, I heard that topic on a couple sports radio shows this week too. I'm like, do you guys know AJ Brown never fumbles the football? Like you guys act like he fumbles 7-8 times a year. It's like say Miles Sanders fumbles the ball Sunday, right? Oh, Miles Sanders got to clean his.
Yeah, that'd be.
He's got to clean up his fumbling issues. You know how many fumbles he has this year? None. So
I think that's what's the most shocking, right? Miles Sanders hasn't fumbled at all. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden you're saying AJ Brown have these fumbles, but I would tend to agree with you. I don't think it's a narrative that needs to be beaten, but I definitely think it's something that needs to be talked about. You know what I mean?
It's something as a coach you kind of mention to a player, but you kind of know like it's not really an issue. So it's a teachable moment, I guess. Wasn't that the Doug term, a teachable moment?
Yeah. Also, let's go get some ice cream.
Hey, what is your favorite flavor of Haagen-Dazs, by the way?
Oh my goodness. I'm a cookies and cream guy.
Oh, I love
So
cookies and cream.
that's my go-to. And then after that is chocolate. And then, I don't really stray too far away from that.
Yeah,
Um,
chocolate.
I am one to try the different Ben and Jerry flavors though.
Oh, I am too. So for me, it's weird. Like I don't like plain chocolate ice cream, even though I love chocolate. I like chocolate ice cream if you got like chocolate marshmallow or like a chocolate peanut butter or something like that. But yeah,
You need to be entertained.
yes,
You need to have a
exactly.
little flair with it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like I love vanilla ice cream too, but I just don't go to an ice cream parlor and get vanilla ice cream. It's kind of stupid. Like how boring can you be, right?
Oh man, well, guess what? I'll tell you one thing, or one person who's not boring, and that's our guy Kevin Bollard. We have him behind the scenes in the virtual green room right now, and I'm really curious to hear his take on the New York Giants. They haven't really been in their swing. If you've been paying attention, they've kind of hit this slump. Saquon Barkley likewise is hitting this slump, and I'm just curious to see what's Kevin Bollard's evaluation of the New York Giants right now, and just overall in the NFC East. So you guys are locked in on Good Morning NFC East. He's Jeff Kerr. I'm your guy, Tone DeShields II. Next up, we have our guy, Kevin Bullard, who's going to give you the inside scoop on the New York Giants, the ultimate fan perspective. Keep it locked, you guys. You do not want to miss this.